The funniest thing about Charlie McCarthy is that it was a famous radio show. Oh. He was a ventriloquist dummy on the radio for a long time. It was popular, and it just speaks to the fact that
that's so stupid.
Entertainment was not better in the olden days.
No,
people.
we had some hard times.
Welcome to the Hypotheticast.
Hey!
But this one is a Microtheticast.
A tiny baby.
Yep.
That's what it is. A minuscule Hypotheticast, only visible from space. Wait, that's the opposite of small.
Well, it depends where you are in space.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure there's
true.
some little guys up there going like, I wish they could see me, but I'm too little, only visible from space.
Anyway,
Maybe, I don't know.
We're here. This episode's shorter is what we're getting at. And this week, we're playing a game called Would I Rather? This is where we find some Would You Rather questions from our listener archives or just the bowels of the internet. And then we read the question, and then the rest of us decide which option that person would choose based on our intimate knowledge of them.
It's basically the one where we show off what good friends we are.
Or that we don't actually know each other very well.
Or that our friendship is a hollow husk.
Right, it's one or the other.
Which is it going to be this week?
Who wants to go first?
I do.
Michael.
All right. This one I'm taking from our friend of the podcast, Liz Council. She asks, would you rather eat a chocolate with a razor blade hidden inside or a Tide Pod?
Ooh.
Which one do you think I would eat?
Oh, man. That's actually tough. So, okay, Emily, I'm going to ask you, because we're supposed to confer.
Yeah.
Do you think he thinks that he can eat around the razor blade? Like, he can eat the chocolate with the razor blade inside it without eating the razor blade.
Yeah,
right?
but I also just think
he'll die if he eats a Tide Pod,
yes,
maybe.
and the razor blade is like, it could be bad, but not necessarily deadly.
Yeah, I mean, you'd cut up your mouth a little bit.
And also sounds like more like hardcore.
And it's just a fun reference to Halloween scares, and we know Mike loves Halloween. I think it's the chocolate with the razor blade.
I think so, too.
I would eat the Tide Pod, you guys.
Why?
Because I always interpret that as I would have to swallow a razor blade into my digestive system.
Okay, so you do think that
I can't eat around it? That's cheating.
Yeah, that is.
I'm not eating
good.
it if I don't eat it.
Yeah, but I actually still think that if you swallow a razor blade, you're less likely to die than if you eat an entire Tide Pod.
I don't know.
Tide Pods are nasty, man.
I mean, you're right. And I would be hospitalized for sure. But I feel like the damage a razor blade could do,
could be bad.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I know Tide Pods are toxic, but I don't know how toxic.
Maybe you would just get real squeaky clean.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
It's a cleanse.
To me, I think it's kind of like the choice between classic Coke and Diet Coke. Like, I know
it's basically the same
sugar
choice,
is bad for me. Just like a razor, but I don't know quite exactly how the chemicals in Diet Coke are bad for me. So it's possible they may pass through me and I will not be harmed.
There's less science about it. We know the science is in on razor blades being bad for you.
I know those are real nasty.
That's true.
Tide Pods will probably hurt me, but I don't know, won't cut me up inside. So that's how I think about it. You guys don't know me at all.
That's true. We don't know you at all. My turn.
Just kidding. I love you.
I'm going to start with the grossest one. This question is from Catherine Kleingartner. Would I rather be stranded on a float of plastic the size of Denmark or on a wad of fat-soaked wet wipes the size of Texas?
I mean, I'm just going to say the Denmark one because just like the material.
Wait, is the Denmark one the one made of wet wipes?
No, that's the plastic.
Oh, yeah, I think that one too. Because I feel like that would be less gross to walk on barefoot.
Doesn't say I'm barefoot.
I know, but if you wanted to be barefoot.
That's true.
And I know how much you want to be barefoot.
I want to be. You both think Denmark? Plastic Denmark?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. It's a good place to be. And I think Denmark's a pretty good place.
Yeah, I think it would have the qualities of Denmark
it would be like
as
Denmark
well.
in every aspect.
The economy is so similar.
Yes.
You know, I went back and forth on this one because at first I had the same inclination as you folks. I said, plastic or nasty wet wipes? Well, obviously plastic. And then I thought, maybe I could live longer if I was able to suck the fat out of the
God.
wipes.
No.
But really, I can't fish. I can't eat plastic. I'd die so fast.
David,
and I might.
Maybe that would be for the
David,
best.
What?
David, so many fish would get their heads caught in those little 6-pack plastic
Oh, that's
rings.
true.
So you could just take them out
That's
and cook
true.
them up.
So I think either way, I'm going to die eventually. And I thought about it both ways. And I was like, well, the advantage of the fat ones is they're not just wet wipes. It's not just like gross. There's food there. I can eat that.
That's true.
But here's another thing. This is how big Denmark is compared to Minnesota.
Okay. You're showing it to me.
About a third the size of Minnesota. Which is impressive. I thought it would be bigger.
Yeah, no, it's significantly smaller than Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing about that. It's more likely that you could find like the edge.
Oh, and I guess that would be nice.
Texas, like if you were in the middle of it, you would never make it to the end.
That sounds kind of existentially terrifying.
Yeah. And then like fishing wouldn't be an option at all.
You could dig down.
I could dig
down through it all.
And live in the fat.
Ew,
you would insulate if it was
ugh.
cold. I don't know. There's a lot of pros to the fat. I think both would be gross. I think if you gave me the choice and I had to choose, I'd probably pick the plastic ones. Just because I bet those wouldn't sink eventually also. I don't know. So you're right. I would choose plastic, but I think it was a harder choice than I thought initially.
Yeah, often they are.
So we all learned something.
Yeah.
In the end.
Okay, guys.
Hey,
my turn.
Emily.
I'm going for some classic, basic would you rathers, and I'm on a really dumb website, the name of which I'm not even going to say because it's so bad. Would I rather have super sensitive taste or super sensitive hearing?
Will you say the name?
Mantelligence.com.
Oh, jeez.
I know. Truly horrifying.
No. Okay. Would you rather have super sensitive taste or super sensitive hearing?
Mm-hmm.
I think taste. Super sensitive hearing could actually be bad depending on what sorts of things you do. I don't know you to be an audiophile where you would like put on the world's greatest headphones and listen to vinyl on like a really low volume so you could hear every single intricacy. And I think super sensitive taste, I know you like to eat food and I know you like to taste food and I know you like eating food that tastes good. So if you had super sensitive taste, you could taste more of the food that would be good.
See, I had the same underlying thought as you, but I interpreted this the other way because I see the super sensitive to be more of a curse than a blessing. Like you're right, super sensitive hearing, you hear everything. Usually that ends with you going crazy if Twilight Zone is to be believed. And it is. Super sensitive taste, I feel like also would work that way in that you would maybe some of your favorite things, maybe you'd get like super picky about them or like maybe you would taste them too much. Like I know too much about pizza now.
Right.
I can only eat perfect pizza. And I think like pizza. Right now you're perfectly happy eating the foods that you like. And I think maybe if we're too sensitive, it might be hard for you to eat the things that you like now.
That's a really good point. However, I have much more control over what I eat than I do the sounds that are being made around me. So I'm going to go with the super sensitive taste because if that means I have to just eat like really bland food or really particular food.
You still aren't bombarded by Henry's footsteps in the middle of the night.
Yes, or like living in a city, like there's constantly sounds.
That's true.
And also maybe it would just make me like a really cool foodie who could taste all the weird like levels of food. You know, like people who like
you could definitely
talk about like taste profiles and shit.
Yeah.
That
you could drink lots of coffee and wine and say a lot about it.
Yeah, could be cool.
Fun. Michael.
Hey friends, so this is also from a listener, Lexa Torgerson. They ask, would you rather be trapped in a skeleton or have a skeleton trapped in you? And I'll just put this out there. I'm assuming the skeleton trapped in me is different from my actual skeleton.
I agree, yes.
Just to clear that up.
Because I do have a skeleton inside me right now. So it's like double skeleton.
But it wants to be there.
Trapped implies like...
Yeah, it got put in there and it needs to get out. Yes, cool.
Out of it.
So just to clarify.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Thank you.
I think inside of a skeleton.
Yeah.
Just because I'm picturing that to be like a really big skeleton that you can't get out of. And so you could explore the nooks and crannies of a skeleton.
Like a giant skeleton.
Yeah.
Like 300 feet tall. And it's and
it's
Mike's
like
a little termite
like
running
a creepy
around
mansion, but it's made out of a skeleton.
And it walks. Wow. Yeah, cool. Well, here's hoping that that's what Mike was thinking when he thought trapped inside a skeleton, because I agree. I do wonder if there isn't a haunting element to a skeleton being trapped inside of him. Like, how can I help set you free, skeleton trapped inside me?
The answer is just like letting that skeleton like burst
through
his
your body and destroy
you die.
Destroy your muscles and body.
I don't think he wants that.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I think trapped inside a skeleton, if only because that is a very hard thing to understand. And I bet Mike wants to know what that would even look like.
Yeah. Emily hit it right on the head. One of my favorite parts of Star Wars is when they're on Tatooine in the desert and there's that giant skeleton of something. Right. And also there's a part in the novel Perdido Street Station, one of my favorite genre novels, where there's a part of the city that's just built around this ancient skeleton and nobody knows what it is. The bones have magical properties, but it's not explained. And so, cool. That's exactly how I pictured it. A giant mystery skeleton that I'm exploring. Very fun. The Cronenbergian body horror of having a skeleton trying to come out of me does not sound in any way pleasant or fun or adventurous. So I'd rather be inside that skeleton thing.
We nailed it. We get it.
We get it. This question comes from Bryce Kalal. It's a kind of a classic.
Okay.
Kind of like Emily's. On Deal or No Deal, you have 2 cases left. $1 and $1 million. Do you go for the gold or take the banker's offer? So the problem with this is we need to come up with what the banker's offer would be. Because the way that show works is like I could either risk it all or take like $100,000 or
so
something.
you
like
pick.
whatever.
What do you think it is?
Let's say, because I said 100,000.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Would I risk a 50-50 shot at $1 or $1 million, or just take a sure $100,000?
I think the sure $100,000 because that is still a lot of money, and you are a practical, frugal guy for the most part. So I feel like you can make that work for you really well. Like you could stretch it, you could make it last, you could do good, smart things with it. $1 million is just like hard to even conceptualize.
Well, actually, I think along the same lines as you, Emily, in that David is a practical, frugal guy. But what that's leading me to is that David is like happy with his life, and he'd be like, I don't need that $100,000.
That's a good point.
So I might as well take the risk and maybe get $1 million, and then I could do a lot of really cool stuff, pay off the student loans, the boring stuff. But then
I don't have over $100,000.
Well, no, but you'd be able to do that and maybe pay off your friends' student loans.
Sure.
But you could help out so many more things. So I feel like because you might go for the risk because you're not really losing anything.
Right, it's not like get $1 million or you're homeless now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just going to go with that. You're going to go risk it all.
I like that angle. Emily's right.
Yeah, I thought she might be.
Yeah, I know. But it's a good angle. A 50-50 shot at that with still a job and still enough money to live. Like, that seems worth it to take. But in the face of that, I would absolutely take the guaranteed $100,000. Yeah. I would be so mad if I had said no to $100,000 at any point in my life. Yeah. It's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good answer. Good
Thanks.
answer. I respect that.
You respect
And
it.
I also respect the fact that I'm killing this game.
I wasn't even keeping track.
Emily is.
Well, I am, so don't worry about it. I'm winning. Mine is actually one that I've read one and then I decided to change it and invented my own question.
Fun.
Would I rather my Instagram have to be solely slightly out of focus, off center, just like not great pictures, not great, like they don't look great, but it's just of like things like my cat and my friends and, you know, me just like living my life, but they're not good. Like they're like, the lighting is weird. They're either way too dark. You can't quite tell what's going on in them. So that's one option.
So just like kind of bad pictures.
Yes.
Okay.
The other option is that my Instagram be solely those like really trying hard staged food photos, but they're like super elaborate and there's like cute like sunglasses in the frame, and I go to all of the like most Instagrammable places, but it's like feels very like hollow and there's not a lot of personality in it. It's just like cute and trendy stuff, but there's like nothing genuine in it, like no pictures of me like hanging out with my friends or having fun, but it's just like highly curated good pictures.
I think you are a person that cares ultimately more about the reality of your life than about your Instagram. You know, surprise, like most people are. You got me a little bit with that sentence you said at the end where you said, there are no pictures of me or my friends having fun. That's something that comes up a lot for you. It's like you need to have good friends. You need to have healthy relationships around you. That's like a huge part of your life. And if you can't represent that on your Instagram, like what's it even for? That's what I say.
I thought the same thing. I thought you'd care more about authenticity than having the perfect Instagram. Even though I think you'd love to be an influencer.
Here's the flip side of that. Because it does seem a little morally set up to be like, are you a good person or a bad person? What if Emily's like, I'm going to trap them with this question that seems like, but really she's thinking that the second one gets way more followers. She becomes way more popular online and makes a decent amount of money doing her career. Like that Instagram could be an income generator even. And maybe that's fine because maybe that's what Instagram is for. And she can still have those authentic experiences. It's not that she doesn't get to have them. She just also has a really good Instagram. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that
at
all.
No, I've actually, I'm taking the 1 or 1 million in this case. I'm gambling. I think you're going to do the curated one.
Changing your answer.
Yep, I'm changing my answer.
I like how you're treating this like a tricky game where we're trying to deceive each other.
I don't know.
Maybe. With friends. But Emily does like to think about how she wins this game.
That's
so
true.
You might be right.
I don't know.
I'm just going to stick with my answer.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't trying to trick you, but David is right, and here's why.
You were trying to trick us.
I can have like all of the authentic relationships and that sort of thing. I feel like Instagram and social media is like a tool for communication and connection, and bad photos do not do that. And I feel like a huge snob, but it's one of my current pet peeves is people who, first of all, overuse Instagram. That's a huge one. People who take like 20 Instagrams in one night so that your feed is just like all that person. But I will even accept that over just the really bad ones. Like it's so easy to take a good Instagram and
it's really not hard.
The people who are theirs are like blurry or you like can't even see what they're taking a picture of. Like the concert photos where it's just literally like a colorful blur and they're like, that's my favorite band. And it's like, what? Why did you just put this on my feed? I feel like it's annoying and people would, unfollow me or just like, it wouldn't be adding to anybody's life. Even if it is a moment that I was really enjoying, I would rather just be in that moment with my friends and enjoy it and not take a picture of it and then take a really cute, possibly obnoxious to some people, but at least pleasing to the eye picture of like my brunch.
Right. Which doesn't hurt anyone.
Exactly. And at least is aesthetically pleasing.
There's that.
That is what I think Instagram is for.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of.
Do we want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more quick one.
All right. I am taking this from another listener. This is from good friend of the podcast, Lori Castile. I'm just going to read it as written. Robot sharks or robot bears?
Like, we don't know. Would you rather be them? Would you rather hang out with them?
Important question.
I think sharks.
All of them.
Mike likes sharks more than bears. I don't know why I think that, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
They seem more extreme, a little more fun too. Those little flippers.
A little bit more surprising too.
Definitely surprising. You see a bear attack coming from a mile away. Ugh. You telegraph it.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah,
sharks.
I just think sharks.
You think sharks? I actually am thinking bears.
Damn it.
Because I'm picturing like a one of them is invented and then they kind of take over the world, but then I befriend one of them. And the robot bear I feel like would be more fun to be friends with than a robot shark. Because how am I gonna be friends with a robot shark?
Like that lady on Radiolab that lived in a dolphin house and half of it was water and half of it was her land that she lived on. It was great.
I mean, I have fond feelings for Shark Johnson, but I don't know. A robot bear seems like something I don't know much about.
Sure.
I'd like to see that. Also, not that different from a regular bear, I feel like.
Maybe
you just
not.
put some fur on it. And
depends how good the robot is, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to go with robot bears.
Cool. Popular Apocrypha, Twitter user Popular Apocrypha asks, would you rather be chased by a slow, lumbering, very human axe murderer the week leading up to Halloween, or haunted by a malicious, terrifying, incessant spirit in your own home only on Halloween night?
Well, I feel like I remember in our Halloween episode, David talked about not being scared of actual murderers, but being scared of ghosts.
Yeah, I feel like he likes to understand like the actual practical situation that even if it's maybe more immediately dangerous, he would at least understand like what is going on and the question marks and mystery and existential questions that are asked by the haunting.
Too much.
I think it would be too much for him.
I think he wants the murderer.
Yeah, I think he wants the murderer.
He doesn't
hear
care.
That, murderers?
Come
David wants
Emily,
ya.
don't. We already have a creepy
murderers. Fan. Be our most murdery fan.
No, don't say it.
Kill me.
They know where we live.
Kill me.
Jeez.
Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. I am not more scared of ghosts than I am of murderers. Like if there was a ghost there and a murderer there, I would be just as scared of both. but I'm more scared of the idea of ghosts than I am the idea of a murderer when I am late night imagining. But you're right, it'd be easier to avoid.
That's a show that David's going to late night imagining.
It's a podcast that he records just for himself.
Just for me.
Never
and then
to
I
be
listen to
released.
it the next night before I record another episode of Late Night Imagining. That's my answer. Good job, guys.
Beautiful. Okay. Would I rather begin every sentence with, hey, idiot, or end every sentence with, haha, I was just kidding?
Oh, that's a really good one, and I hate it.
I think you would like to say, hey, idiot.
Hey, idiot is a little, because you can't ever say anything if every sentence ends with haha, just kidding. You can't, nothing can be ever said by your mouth that is genuine. The other option, hey, idiot, can just be, I mean, some people have even weirder hang-ups vocally and say a lot of things that people would just get used to it. It's hey, idiot.
Yeah, because I feel like idiot you can with your vocal inflection can mean many things.
Right.
Like, hey, idiot.
It would come to be a term of endearment because you would know, oh, here comes Emily.
Hey,
because she'd enter the room and be like, hey, idiots. Would it be plural, do you think, if she was speaking to more than one?
I think that would be allowed.
That would be allowed, yeah. Would she? What about herself? Do you think she would say it to herself in the
talks
mirror?
to
Because I don't
herself?
want that.
I think she, well,
I
I don't
want her
know.
to have negative self-talk in the mirror.
But if she says just kidding after good stuff to herself,
Oh,
that's just
maybe she could be
almost
like,
as bad.
you look bad. Haha, just kidding. That's the
Flips
dream.
it around.
Yeah, flips it around. I think, hey, idiot.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Hey, idiots, you're
Hey.
both right.
Yay.
Do you think there's a podcast called Hey, Idiot?
That's the podcast that I record for myself every night.
It's reminders of what to do the next day.
What do you guys think my podcast is called?
Your
My
podcast
private
is,
podcast.
it's probably called Secret Town.
Sure. Yep.
It's an ongoing 100-episode long fiction podcast about a town where nobody knows each other's name that you make for yourself.
So many secrets.
Secret Town.
If you want to find us on the internet to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, both those places we ask fun questions all the time and would love to have you answer them. We're also on Instagram. You could email us, hypotheticast@gmail.com, or go to our website, hypotheticast.club.
Bam.
You should just go ahead and review us on iTunes or Facebook or any podcast app, or interact with us on those posts because we love to hear from you. Also, just tell about us to friends. That makes sense when you're thinking of things to say. Say
Right.
the Hypotheticast.
Sometimes if you're sitting at the table and you're like, uh-oh, awkward silence, just say the word Hypotheticast and see what
does that
happens.
mean?
Thank you to Jaden James and The Hunger for their song Killin' It. It's from their album Raw, and it is our theme song, and we love it. Thank you to Christian Hagen for his logo. He made it for us, and we love it. Thank you to the listeners that have sent in questions over the last few months, some of which we used on this episode. We have such a big, beautiful, juicy document filled with questions from you that sometimes we dip back into and we get them and we use them. It's fun. So thanks for doing that. You're really participatory and cool. And thanks for listening, because that's important too.
I hope your midwinter is not too bleak.
In the bleak midwinter.
I hope your midwinter is so bleak that it becomes like it loops back around and it's fun. Either I hope it's like super
Post-bleak.
sunny and nice, but it's like post-bleak. Yeah. In the bleak tradition, it is post-bleak. It's so bleak, just blows your mind. And you're
Blows
like,
your mind,
dang.
makes you write a bunch of poetry, and then you
Yeah.
send it to us, and then we publish it under our own names, and
Yeah.
then a huge legal battle ensues. But
But you got to do something in winter, so
mean,
it might
what
as well
else are
be a
we gonna
legal
do?
battle.
I'm marching, marching, 'cause I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
My dad and mom still do it. They still address packages from Santa. But that's the only
so
part that they do.
cute.
And my dad, like, he knows we know, but he still thinks it's fun. He's like, this one's from Santa. Who knows who gave you that? Look at the handwriting. It's Santa's. And it's like his. Like, everybody knows. And he's the only one laughing, but he loves
That's
it.
cute.
So, like, sometimes it's just for you, Scott.